What's up, guys? I know I'm a little bit late to this, but the thing that we all have been waiting for finally happened this morning at 8:57 a.m. I woke up this morning for class, and I was really upset that I checked my phone and I did not see Dennis Allen was fired, but it did eventually happen. Dennis Allen has finally been fired from the New Orleans Saints, and this is probably the most excited I've ever been from a Twitter notification ever. Like, that was, I'm going to remember that moment for a long time because that made my day. And I had a pretty midday, just all things considered. But, nothing can completely ruin it because Dennis Allen is finally gone and Darren Rizzi is going to be the interim head coach for the rest of the season. Now, the Saints are cooked this season, okay? The Saints are absolutely cooked. The trade deadline is tomorrow, so the Saints actually may end up trading some people, like I said in my recap video yesterday after we lost to the fucking Panthers. Marshawn Lattimore has been in trade talks with the Chiefs. That could happen, although it doesn't look like the Saints are going to go a complete fire sale, blow everything up right now. I'm sure, that has to happen in the offseason, but I'm sure they're going to trade or be open to trading. I don't think if we didn't lose to the Panthers, they would even consider trading Lattimore or some of these other guys. But I think now that we're at 2-7 and the season is now realistically over, then I think the top candidates that we've heard been thrown around have been Marshawn Lattimore to the Chiefs and Chase Young to a team that needs a pass rusher, such as the Lions, who lost Aiden Hutchinson, or the Bengals, who could use a boost in their defense. Now, the thing is, the boost doesn't really exist with Chase Young because Chase Young fucking sucks. But maybe they want to add an extra body and, maybe they still think he has something, but he doesn't. I don't know. We'll see. But this is a great move for the Saints. Not that necessarily this is going to save their season because the season is cooked. The Saints, I'm not saying tank or don't try to win. I'm still going to root for the team to win, especially next week against the Falcons because fuck the Falcons. But the team is still going to try to win. We're not going to bench Derek Carr and bench all the starters or anything. We're still going to try to win games. Derek Carr is still going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. And in fact, I think you may see actually a new fire lit under this team with Darren Rizzi. Darren Rizzi is our special teams coordinator. He's been here for a few years, and he's a leader of man-type prototype. He may not be the most, fundamentals and, best offensive-minded coach or defensive-minded coach, but he's what you want in an interim head coach in a not ideal situation. He's going to get the team fired up and ready to play. And since he is a special teams coordinator, he kind of does have a relationship with every single player on the roster just because when you're a special teams coordinator, you're kind of with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And he has a relationship with a lot of young guys too because a lot of young players that get their chance to play make their way through special teams. And obviously Darren Rizzi is a special teams coordinator and is still going to play a vital role in the special teams. So I think this is a pretty good move in terms of the interim head coach. Now, who will the head coach be of the Saints moving forward after 2024 and going into 2025? I'm not sure. There are some names you can throw out there like a Brian Flores or a Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I don't want an Aaron Glenn because I don't think we need a defensive-minded head coach. Nor do I want Brian Flores because he's also a defensive-minded coach. You can throw some other names out there. I'm kind of blanking right now. We can talk about this in a separate video because this isn't super relevant at the moment. It will be in the offseason, though. This is going to make this offseason one of the most interesting offseasons in the history of the New Orleans Saints. And, how much longer does Mickey Loomis last? That's also another question because I also feel like, do y'all trust Mickey Loomis to make the roster decisions with the way he kept kicking the can down the road and kind of set us up to be fucked in terms of the salary cap? I don't want him making roster decisions anymore. And do you really want Mickey Loomis to decide who the Saints pick in the draft this year? Because the Saints have not had a good track record in the draft. You don't have to move that far back at all. You can go back to 2023. Brian Brzee in the first round, who has shown flashes but has been disappointing as of late. Isaiah Foskey with a high second-round pick who has not – I don't think he has a sack. I don't know if he has a recorded tackle. I don't think I've seen him make a single impact play in the regular season or in preseason or even in training camp. That's one of the biggest busts in the history of the Saints. That's unacceptable. And Kendre Miller, who we know is talented, but he is made of glass worse than Michael Thomas is. This motherfucker came back from a hamstring injury the first day. He hurt his hamstring the first day of training camp. missed 6 games, came back week 7, played 2 games, ran the ball maybe like 5 or 6 times, and now has hurt his other hamstring, made of glass. Another Saints draft on the fucking shithole. They drafted Jake Haener in that draft, even though he was drafted to be a backup. He sucks. He sucks. Nick Saldivari as a guard sucks. A.T. Perry, who showed flashes, no matter how you feel about A.T. Perry, he's not here anymore. The team cut him. Jordan Howden is okay as a backup safety, but, I mean, terrible draft. Terrible draft. And there's a lot of uncertainty with, I don't think Derek Carr is going to be here. He could still be here next year. I don't think he's here past that. So what do you do in the draft? I think you just go best player available. You may want to go quarterback. And if we get a top 5 pick, which is looking very likely, at least top 10 for sure. But if we get a top 5 pick, do we go quarterback? I think you have to. I mean, the top 2 names off the bat that you think of that could be top 5, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. I would probably want Shedeur Sanders just because I probably feel like he's more NFL ready. Or do you go and get Travis Hunter? And do you want him to play wide receiver or corner? I'd probably want him playing wide receiver. But I've also heard people say that he may play both. I don't think that's sustainable in the NFL, but that's a topic for another day. I would like to get Travis Hunter if that's possible. But regardless, we're finally freed from Dennis Allen, and this team may actually be somewhat interesting to watch the rest of the season, even though we have no chance of making the playoffs. So, in order to restore the culture, restore some stability to the organization, and finally undo all the wrong that we did in terms of make all the roster decisions we made in the last 3 to 4 years, you had to fire Dennis Allen. And yes, it took you to get absolutely rock bottom, losing to the worst team in the NFL, and now becoming probably the worst team in the NFL to do it. But it's better late than never. So, I'm so glad I'm able to make this video. The trade deadline is tomorrow, so we'll see what the Saints make, if they make any major moves with Marshall Lattimore. That's the biggest name to watch, I think, in terms of the trade deadline tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. This is a day to celebrate, so I know it's late, but tomorrow, throw something on the fucking grill for the Saints firing Dennis Allen, because this is something to be happy about and to be excited about, and we may actually have hope in New Orleans for the future. Not this year. This year's cooked, but use the rest of this year to evaluate our young talent and see where we go from here. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.